In the secret world of military aviation, a groundbreaking aircraft has taken shape, one that challenges everything we thought we knew about air combat. This isn't just an improvement over older jets. It's a complete revolution in how aerial warfare is fought. The Shadow Jet is not just another stealth aircraft. It is a new breed of fighter, one that moves unseen, reacts instantly, and strikes before the enemy even knows it's there. For decades, the world's most advanced fighter jets relied on traditional stealth technology, using special coatings and angled designs to deflect radar waves. But modern air defense systems have become smarter, using advanced radar networks and high-speed tracking algorithms to detect even the most elusive aircraft. In response, military engineers pushed beyond conventional stealth, creating something that doesn't just evade detection, it controls it. Imagine a fighter jet that doesn't need to hide in the clouds or fly at extreme altitudes to remain unseen. Instead, it alters the way radar waves interact with its surface, bending and absorbing them so that it simply vanishes from detection. The Shadow Jet's advanced stealth shielding doesn't just deflect signals, it makes them disappear entirely, leaving enemy radar operators staring at empty screens. Speed and agility have also been redefined. Older fighter jets must rely on afterburners, fuel-hungry systems that give them a brief burst of speed but drain energy quickly. The Shadow Jet, however, maintains supersonic speeds effortlessly, using an advanced propulsion system that delivers extreme power without sacrificing fuel efficiency. While enemy aircraft struggle to catch up, this fighter weaves through the sky like a ghost, always out of reach, always one step ahead. But what truly sets this aircraft apart isn't just its stealth or speed, it's its intelligence. Unlike traditional fighter jets, which rely solely on human pilots making split-second decisions, this aircraft is guided by a next-generation artificial intelligence. This AI isn't just a support system, it is an active combat strategist. It processes massive amounts of battlefield data in real time, analyzing enemy movements, predicting attacks, and adjusting tactics before a pilot could even react. The AI doesn't simply assist, it thinks. It learns from every engagement, recognizing patterns, adapting strategies, and making calculations with lightning speed. While an enemy pilot might take seconds to analyze the battlefield, the Shadow Jet's AI does it in milliseconds, ensuring it is always ahead of the fight. This level of intelligence makes dogfighting almost obsolete. The Shadow Jet doesn't need to maneuver against enemies in close combat because it has already anticipated their actions. It strikes from distances beyond enemy reach, launching precision-guided weapons before its opponents even realize they are in danger. By the time an enemy fighter locks onto its position, it's already gone, repositioning itself for the next attack. The question is no longer how to detect it or how to catch it, but how to defend against something that cannot be seen or predicted. Military analysts around the world are struggling to answer that question, and the reality is, there may be no answer at all. This is not just an evolution in air combat, it is a complete transformation. The Shadow Jet doesn't just win battles, it rewrites the rules of war entirely. In the world of military aviation, the most powerful weapons are often the ones no one sees coming. While the world focused on the latest fighter jets and defense systems, something far more advanced was taking shape in the shadows. Behind the walls of top-secret military facilities, scientists and engineers were working on a project that would change air combat forever. This wasn't about upgrading an existing fighter or improving on older technology. It was about building something entirely new, something that would make even the most advanced aircraft obsolete. For years, global powers had been racing to develop the next big leap in aerial warfare. Advanced radar systems were growing more powerful, making traditional stealth jets easier to detect. Air-to-air missiles were evolving, giving enemy aircraft longer reach and more deadly accuracy. The battlefield was shifting, and the dominance once held by stealth fighters like the F-22 and other fifth-generation jets was beginning to fade. Military officials knew they needed something that wouldn't just keep up with new threats, it had to outclass them completely. The answer was clear: a fighter jet that could disappear at will, think faster than human pilots, and strike before the enemy could react. This was the beginning of what would become the Shadow Jet project. The development of such an aircraft required an entirely new way of thinking. Traditional stealth fighters used angled surfaces and radar-absorbing coatings to avoid detection. But even the best designs left behind a small radar signature. Advanced enemy detection systems were learning how to track them. The solution? Stealth that doesn't just reduce detection, it erases it completely. Engineers developed a revolutionary stealth shielding system, allowing the aircraft to control electromagnetic waves instead of just deflecting them. Instead of bouncing radar signals away, the jet absorbs them and distorts the return signal, making it appear as if nothing is there at all. This breakthrough alone would have made it one of the most powerful aircraft ever built. But the project didn't stop there. A major issue facing modern fighter jets was their dependency on afterburners for high-speed flight. Traditional jets rely on these to push beyond supersonic speeds, but the extreme heat and fuel consumption make them easy targets for infrared tracking missiles. Engineers had to find a way for the shadow jet to sustain high speeds without the need for afterburners. The answer was a next-generation propulsion system designed to maintain extreme speeds silently and efficiently. Unlike older engines that roar through the sky, the shadow jet moves with an eerie quietness, making it nearly impossible to detect, not just on radar, but also by sound and heat. Even high-powered infrared sensors struggle to track its movement because of its heat-dissipating materials and cooling systems. However, stealth and speed alone were not enough. Military strategists knew that even the fastest, most invisible aircraft would still be vulnerable if the pilot couldn't process information fast enough. Air combat is won by decisions made in milliseconds, and human pilots, no matter how skilled, can only react so quickly. This led to the introduction of artificial intelligence combat assistance, a revolutionary system that changes the way air battles are fought. Unlike traditional computer-assisted systems, which require human pilots to interpret data, the Shadow Jet's AI does the work instantly. It processes live battlefield information, enemy tactics, and missile trajectories in real time, making split-second adjustments that no human could match. It can predict an enemy's move before it happens, calculating the best course of action in a fraction of the time it would take a pilot to do the same. This AI system isn't just an assistant, it is a true combat strategist. It learns from every engagement, improving with every flight, and developing tactics no human pilot has ever used before. If one shadow jet encounters an enemy fighter, the AI collects and shares that data instantly with other units. This means that every shadow jet in the fleet gets smarter with each mission, building an ever-evolving library of combat knowledge and strategy. But the true test of any military aircraft is not just its technology, but its ability to dominate the battlefield. The Shadow Jet's weapon systems were designed with precision and adaptability in mind. It carries a mix of long-range guided missiles, hypersonic strike weapons, and directed energy defenses. Unlike traditional fighters that need to choose between air-to-air or air-to-ground combat, this aircraft can switch roles instantly. Imagine a mission where the Shadow Jet starts as an air superiority fighter, eliminating threats at long range. Then within moments, it switches to ground attack mode, launching precision-guided strikes before disappearing again into the sky. It is a fighter that is not limited by its loadout. It adapts to the mission as it unfolds. While this technology is groundbreaking, the real mystery lies in why so few of these jets are being built. Most advanced fighters enter mass production, but reports suggest that only a small number of shadow jets are planned for deployment. Some believe this is due to budget constraints, but insiders suggest something far more intriguing. The shadow jet may be so powerful and advanced that only a handful are needed to shift the balance of air power worldwide. The secrecy surrounding the project raises even bigger questions. What undisclosed capabilities does this aircraft have? If what has been revealed already is this groundbreaking, what technology remains classified? What is the military not telling us about the true capabilities of this aircraft? One thing is certain, the Shadow Jet is not just another advanced fighter. It is a completely new kind of war machine, one that is setting the stage for the next era of air combat. As rival nations rush to develop countermeasures, the reality is sinking in. The rules of war have changed, and the Shadow Jet is leading the way into an unknown future. In the history of air combat, every major leap forward has redefined the battlefield. From the first jet engines to stealth technology, each breakthrough has shifted the balance of power. But nothing compares to what has been achieved with the Shadow Jet. This is not just another upgrade. It is the result of years of research, billions of dollars in development, and a complete reimagining of what an aircraft can do. The Shadow Jet is not built to compete with existing fighter jets. It is built to dominate them. One of the most astonishing advancements of this aircraft is its next-generation stealth technology. Traditional stealth fighters rely on shaping and coatings to reduce radar signatures, but this has its limits. If a jet flies too close, or if advanced radar systems use multiple frequencies, even the best stealth jets can be detected. The Shadow Jet eliminates this problem entirely by using adaptive stealth shielding, an advanced energy-based system that can bend radar waves around the aircraft, making it truly invisible. This is not science fiction. Engineers developed a way for the jet to project an electromagnetic field around itself, which not only distorts radar signals, but completely absorbs them, preventing any detectable return. Unlike traditional stealth aircraft, which still leave behind a faint signature, the Shadow Jet leaves nothing. To an enemy's radar, it is as if the aircraft simply does not exist. But stealth is just the beginning. Speed has always been a deciding factor in air combat, and the Shadow Jet is faster than any manned fighter before it. Unlike older aircraft that require afterburners to achieve supersonic speeds, this aircraft is powered by a revolutionary supercruise engine. It can sustain speeds above Mach 2.9 without the need for afterburners, allowing it to cover vast distances quickly while remaining fuel efficient. The key to this speed is its advanced propulsion system, which integrates a high-efficiency jet engine with an adaptive airflow intake. This means the engine automatically adjusts to different flight conditions, optimizing performance at any altitude or speed. Traditional fighters lose energy when performing complex maneuvers at high speeds. The Shadow Jet's propulsion system prevents this by maintaining thrust output, making it incredibly agile even at extreme velocities. However, stealth and speed alone do not win battles. Situational awareness is just as important. In traditional fighter jets, pilots rely on radar, infrared sensors, and helmet-mounted displays to track enemy positions. But these systems have limitations. Radar can be jammed, infrared sensors have range constraints, and pilots can only process so much information at once. The Shadow Jet eliminates these weaknesses with a combat AI system unlike anything seen before. This AI acts as a real-time battlefield strategist, capable of analyzing hundreds of data points per second, including radar signals, enemy formations, missile trajectories, and even electronic warfare threats. The AI doesn't just assist the pilot, it actively thinks ahead, predicting the enemy's next move before they even make it. For example, if an incoming missile is detected, a traditional fighter jet pilot has to manually decide whether to evade, deploy countermeasures, or engage. In the Shadow Jet, the AI has already calculated the missile's trajectory, analyzed its seeker type, determined the best countermeasure, and adjusted the aircraft's flight path before the pilot even notices the threat. This level of responsiveness makes it virtually impossible for an enemy to successfully land a hit. The AI also allows for coordinated attacks in ways never seen before. When multiple Shadow Jets operate together, they share information in real time, allowing them to work as a single unit. If one jet detects an enemy aircraft, all others in the formation immediately receive targeting data, meaning they can engage without exposing their own position. This networked warfare capability means that Shadow Jets never fight alone. Even if only one is visible, the entire fleet is present in the battle. Weapon systems have also taken a massive leap forward. Most fighter jets are equipped with a combination of air-to-air missiles, air-to-ground bombs, and sometimes internal cannons. These are effective, but they require careful management of weight, fuel consumption, and combat role assignments. The Shadow Jet eliminates these limitations with a completely modular weapons bay, meaning it can switch between air superiority, ground attack, or long-range strike missions instantly. For aerial combat, the Shadow Jet carries a new generation of long-range air-to-air missiles, which use AI-assisted targeting to predict enemy evasive maneuvers and adjust mid-flight. Traditional missiles require the pilot to keep a lock on the target, but these advanced weapons communicate directly with the Shadow Jet's AI, allowing them to adjust their flight path even after launch. In ground attack missions, the Shadow Jet is capable of launching precision strike hypersonic missiles, which can hit targets thousands of miles away in minutes. Unlike traditional guided bombs, which require clear targeting data before launch, these next-gen weapons adapt in real time, adjusting for moving targets and environmental conditions to guarantee precision accuracy. One of the most controversial and groundbreaking additions to the Shadow Jet is its directed energy weapon system. Traditional aircraft rely on machine guns, missiles, and bombs, but the Shadow Jet introduces energy-based defenses that can neutralize threats instantly. Using an advanced high-energy laser system, the aircraft can intercept incoming missiles before they reach the aircraft, making it virtually untouchable. But the real game changer is plasma-based cloaking, a technology so advanced that military experts are still struggling to fully understand its implications. Unlike regular stealth, which only hides an aircraft from radar, plasma stealth actively manipulates the air around the aircraft, reducing friction and making high-speed flight even more efficient. It also has the ability to distort infrared signatures, meaning that even heat-seeking missiles, which typically bypass radar stealth, struggle to lock onto the Shadow Jet. This level of innovation is why military strategists believe the Shadow Jet is more than just a new aircraft. It is an entirely new form of warfare. The combination of invisibility, AI-driven combat intelligence, high-speed maneuverability, and next-generation weaponry means that the Shadow Jet doesn't just outperform enemy aircraft, it makes them obsolete. Perhaps the most unsettling fact is that not everything about this aircraft has been revealed. With so much classified technology still undisclosed, experts can only speculate about what other capabilities the Shadow Jet may have. Could it feature electronic warfare systems capable of disabling enemy radar from miles away? Could its AI learn and adapt so quickly that traditional dogfighting tactics become irrelevant? Could there be even more advanced weaponry that has yet to be unveiled? What is clear is that the era of traditional aerial combat is over. The Shadow Jet is not just an aircraft. It is a silent predator in the skies, an invisible hunter that no enemy can match. The future of air combat has already arrived, and the rest of the world is desperately trying to catch up. For decades, aerial warfare has been a battle of innovation. Each new generation of fighter jets has been designed to outmaneuver, outgun, or outthink the enemy. Nations have spent billions developing aircraft with faster engines, stealthier designs, and deadlier weapons in a never-ending competition for air superiority. But now, all of that effort may be meaningless. The arrival of the Shadow Jet has fundamentally changed the game. Not by improving upon the past, but by rendering previous air combat strategies obsolete. For rival nations, the biggest problem isn't just that the Shadow Jet is better, it's that it operates on an entirely different level. The most advanced aircraft in the world today were designed to counter stealth, maneuverability, and long-range missiles. But the Shadow Jet doesn't play by those rules. It doesn't just hide, it erases itself from detection. It doesn't just fly faster, it thinks faster. And it doesn't just fire weapons, it uses weapons that adapt and change in real time. To understand why other aircraft stand no chance, let's look at some of the most powerful fighters currently in service and how they compare. For years, stealth technology has been considered the gold standard of aerial dominance. Aircraft like the F-22 Raptor and the J-20 Mighty Dragon were designed to be invisible to radar, giving their pilots the first shot advantage in battle. But stealth technology has its weaknesses. Radar systems have evolved, using multi-frequency scanning and quantum radar technology to expose traditional stealth aircraft. The F-22 and J-20 still leave behind faint radar echoes, which can be detected if the enemy knows what to look for. And once they are spotted, their stealth advantage is gone. The Shadow Jet, on the other hand, is in a completely different league. Its adaptive stealth shielding doesn't just reduce its radar signature, it completely eliminates it. Instead of trying to reflect or deflect radar waves, it absorbs and manipulates them, preventing any return signal from being detected. This means that even the best radar in the world can't see it. While other stealth fighters rely on low visibility, the Shadow Jet relies on true invisibility. And stealth isn't just about radar. Many advanced fighter jets today, such as the Russian Su-57 Felon, use infrared sensors to detect stealth aircraft at long range. But the Shadow Jet's plasma-based cloaking system neutralizes heat emissions, making it virtually undetectable to heat-seeking missiles and infrared tracking systems. In traditional air combat, speed and agility determine survival. Aircraft like the Su-57 Felon were designed with thrust vectoring engines, allowing them to perform extreme aerial maneuvers, dodge missiles, and get into a firing position faster than their opponents. The Shadow Jet makes these advantages useless. With its next-generation propulsion system, the Shadow Jet can sustain supersonic speeds without afterburners, meaning it doesn't have to sacrifice fuel efficiency for speed. Unlike older jets, which slow down during sharp turns, the Shadow Jet's adaptive wing system allows it to maintain its momentum and energy, even in extreme maneuvers. But what really makes it terrifying is its AI-driven flight system. Traditional fighter pilots rely on reflexes and training to outmaneuver their enemies, but even the best human pilot has limits. The Shadow Jet's AI does not. This AI combat system is capable of predicting enemy movements before they happen, adjusting flight paths in real time, and executing counter-maneuvers with precision beyond human capability. While a human pilot needs time to react to a missile lock, the Shadow Jet's AI has already calculated the best evasive action before the enemy even fires. Most modern fighter jets rely on long-range missiles to neutralize threats before getting into a dogfight. The J-20 Mighty Dragon, for example, carries the PL-15 missile, which can strike targets over 200 kilometers away. But these long-range weapons have a fatal flaw. They still require the attacking aircraft to detect and track the target. The Shadow Jet eliminates this threat by never appearing on enemy sensors to begin with. It doesn't just evade enemy missiles, it prevents them from being fired in the first place. Even if an enemy jet manages to blind fire a missile in its direction, the Shadow Jet's countermeasures are beyond anything seen before. Unlike older aircraft that use chaff and flares to confuse missiles, the Shadow Jet's directed energy defenses can disable or destroy incoming threats mid-flight. For generations, fighter pilots were the most valuable asset in air warfare. The ability to think quickly, adapt to situations, and outmaneuver the enemy determined the outcome of battles. But the Shadow Jet has changed the role of the pilot entirely. While enemy pilots struggle to interpret battle data, the Shadow Jet's AI does it in milliseconds. While they scramble to react to a threat, the Shadow Jet has already neutralized it. This isn't just an upgrade, it is a complete shift in how air combat is fought. The Shadow Jet doesn't need a pilot to win battles, it needs a pilot only to confirm victory. Nations like Russia and China have spent decades developing aircraft that can challenge U.S. air dominance. The Su-57 Felon was designed to outperform Western stealth fighters in close combat. The J-20 Mighty Dragon was designed to be a stealthy first-strike platform against enemy defenses. But none of these aircraft were designed with the Shadow Jet in mind. You can't outmaneuver what you can't see. You can't fire at what doesn't appear on radar. You can't counter an AI that predicts your every move. And this is why the Shadow Jet has already won before the battle begins. It doesn't just outclass the competition, it makes competition irrelevant. The introduction of the Shadow Jet has sent shockwaves through military circles worldwide. Rival nations know they are behind, and they know they may never catch up. The most advanced jets today were designed to fight against human-controlled aircraft with detectable stealth signatures and predictable tactics. But those strategies no longer apply. The Shadow Jet is invisible. The Shadow Jet is faster. The Shadow Jet is smarter. This means that every existing fighter jet, from the Su-57 to the J-20, is already outdated. The only real question left is, what other secrets is the Shadow Jet hiding? Because if this is what has been revealed, then the technology still classified may be even more terrifying than anyone could imagine. When a new fighter jet is introduced, the usual strategy is to build as many as possible to establish air dominance. Military planners focus on quantity to ensure that their fleet can engage in large-scale operations and sustain losses in long conflicts. Yet with the Shadow Jet, this pattern has been completely broken. Instead of hundreds or even thousands of these aircraft being deployed across different branches of the military, reports suggest that only a small number are being produced. Early estimates place the total at fewer than 40 units, an incredibly low number for a fighter jet designed to be the most advanced in history. The big question is, why? At first glance, this limited production doesn't make sense. If the Shadow Jet is the most dominant aircraft ever created, why not build hundreds? Why would the military restrict itself to such a small fleet when air superiority is key to controlling the battlefield? There are several theories about why this aircraft is being kept in such small numbers, each one more intriguing than the last. Too expensive or too powerful? One of the most obvious explanations is cost. The Shadow Jet is likely the most expensive aircraft ever built, possibly surpassing the price of entire fighter squadrons. To develop such a groundbreaking war machine, engineers had to push the limits of stealth, AI, propulsion, and energy-based weaponry. Every system on board is a generation ahead of anything else in existence. The materials used in its plasma shielding, electromagnetic absorption panels, and adaptive wings are incredibly rare and expensive to produce. It's estimated that the cost per unit could exceed $750 million to $1 billion, making it far more expensive than the F-35 Lightning II, which costs around $80 million per unit. If that's the case, producing large numbers of these aircraft could drain even the most well-funded military budget. However, while cost is an issue, it doesn't fully explain why production is so limited. The US military has spent trillions on defense projects before, and if this aircraft is as dominant as it appears, it would justify an even greater investment. So could the real reason be something else? Could it be that the Shadow Jet is so powerful that only a few are needed to maintain complete air superiority? A single jet that can replace an entire squadron. The Shadow Jet isn't just another fighter. It is designed to replace multiple aircraft roles at once. A traditional fighter squadron consists of several specialized aircraft. Some are stealth fighters, designed for first strikes. Others are electronic warfare aircraft, meant to disrupt enemy defenses. Then there are air superiority fighters, designed to outmaneuver and shoot down threats. But the Shadow Jet can do all of these roles simultaneously. It doesn't need support from stealth aircraft because it is truly invisible to radar. It doesn't need electronic warfare aircraft because it can jam and disable enemy sensors on its own. It doesn't need backup fighters because it can outmaneuver, outrun, and outthink anything in the sky. This means that one Shadow Jet could do the job of an entire squadron. If a single aircraft can eliminate multiple enemy fighters, evade detection, and complete missions without refueling, then it changes the way air power is projected. Instead of launching dozens of jets into battle, the military can deploy just a few Shadow Jets and still maintain total control of the skies. This allows for a smaller, more effective force that is nearly unstoppable. Psychological warfare, the fear of the unknown. Military analysts believe that part of the reason the Shadow Jet is being produced in low numbers is psychological warfare. The world knows it exists, but no one knows its full capabilities. This creates uncertainty and fear among rival nations. If a large fleet of these aircraft existed, adversaries could study their movements, identify patterns, and eventually develop countermeasures. But with so few in operation, no one knows where or when one might strike. An enemy force preparing for a mission has to assume that at any moment, an invisible, AI-powered fighter could already be watching them. A high-ranking general planning an operation must reconsider every strategy because there's no guarantee their forces won't be neutralized before the battle even begins. Military planners are forced to divert billions in resources to develop detection systems that may never even work. This level of psychological dominance forces rival nations to invest billions in defensive systems, all to counter an aircraft they may never even detect, let alone engage. By keeping its production numbers low and classified, the Shadow Jet forces adversaries to prepare for the worst at all times. And that in itself is a weapon more powerful than any missile. What if there's something even more classified? Perhaps the most chilling possibility is that the Shadow Jet is only the tip of the iceberg. Military projects have a long history of revealing only a fraction of their true capabilities. The F-117 Nighthawk, the first true stealth aircraft, flew for over a decade in total secrecy before the world even knew it existed. The B-2 Spirit bomber was developed with technology that was years ahead of its time, and many of its capabilities are still classified to this day. So what if the shadow jet isn't the real project? What if the true next-generation fighter is still hidden? What if the real breakthrough technology is being tested on an aircraft that hasn't been revealed yet? Could the shadow jet be a distraction, making other nations waste resources trying to counter a fighter that isn't even the most advanced aircraft in operation? The idea that there is an even more secretive, more advanced warplane in development is not impossible. Given how rapidly technology is evolving, some military analysts believe that 6th-generation fighters are already outdated and that work on 7th-generation weapon systems is well underway. If this is true, then the shadow jet may only be a preview of what's to come. The silent predator that will shape future wars. Regardless of why the shadow jet is being kept in low numbers, one thing is clear: its impact is already being felt. Nations around the world are rushing to modernize their air forces, but the truth is that they may never catch up. If this aircraft is truly as advanced as reports suggest, then no amount of upgrades to current fighter jets will change the outcome of future battles. The shadow jet was never designed to fight fair. It was designed to ensure air superiority without contest. And with only a handful of them in existence, rival nations are left asking a terrifying question. If one shadow jet is in the sky, how many more are out there that we can't see? If this is the fighter jet they are willing to reveal, what classified weapon is still hidden from the world? And when will it make its first move? This aircraft isn't just a fighter jet, it is a ghost in the sky, an unseen force that controls the battlefield without ever revealing itself. And if the military only needs a few of them, that means one thing: they are so powerful, so advanced, and so untouchable that no enemy force in the world can challenge them. If this is the future of aerial warfare, then the age of traditional dogfights and air battles is already over. The shadow jet has already won. Too expensive or too powerful? One of the most obvious explanations is cost. The shadow jet is likely the most expensive aircraft ever built, possibly surpassing the price of entire fighter squadrons. To develop such a groundbreaking war machine, engineers had to push the limits of stealth, AI, propulsion, and energy-based weaponry. Every system on board is a generation ahead of anything else in existence. The materials used in its plasma shielding, electromagnetic absorption panels, and adaptive wings are incredibly rare and expensive to produce. It's estimated that the cost per unit could exceed $750 million to $1 billion, making it far more expensive than the F-35 Lightning II, which costs around $80 million per unit. If that's the case, producing large numbers of these aircraft could drain even the most well-funded military budget. However, while cost is an issue, it doesn't fully explain why production is so limited. The US military has spent trillions on defense projects before, and if this aircraft is as dominant as it appears, it would justify an even greater investment. So could the real reason be something else? Could it be that the shadow jet is so powerful that only a few are needed to maintain complete air superiority? A single jet that can replace an entire squadron. The shadow jet isn't just another fighter. It is designed to replace multiple aircraft roles at once. A traditional fighter squadron consists of several specialized aircraft. Some are stealth fighters, designed for first strikes. Others are electronic warfare aircraft, meant to disrupt enemy defenses. Then there are air superiority fighters, designed to outmaneuver and shoot down threats. But the shadow jet can do all of these roles simultaneously. It doesn't need support from stealth aircraft because it is truly invisible to radar. It doesn't need electronic warfare aircraft because it can jam and disable enemy sensors on its own. It doesn't need backup fighters because it can outmaneuver, outrun, and outthink anything in the sky. This means that one shadow jet could do the job of an entire squadron. If a single aircraft can eliminate multiple enemy fighters, evade detection, and complete missions without refueling, then it changes the way air power is projected. Instead of launching dozens of jets into battle, the military can deploy just a few shadow jets and still maintain total control of the skies. This allows for a smaller, more effective force that is nearly unstoppable. Psychological warfare, the fear of the unknown. Military analysts believe that part of the reason the shadow jet is being produced in low numbers is psychological warfare. The world knows it exists, but no one knows its full capabilities. This creates uncertainty and fear among rival nations. If a large fleet of these aircraft existed, adversaries could study their movements, identify patterns, and eventually develop countermeasures. But with so few in operation, no one knows where or when one might strike. An enemy force preparing for a mission has to assume that at any moment, an invisible AI-powered fighter could already be watching them. A high-ranking general planning an operation must reconsider every strategy because there's no guarantee their forces won't be neutralized before the battle even begins. Military planners are forced to divert billions in resources to develop detection systems that may never even work. This level of psychological dominance forces rival nations to invest billions in defensive systems, all to counter an aircraft they may never even detect, let alone engage. By keeping its production numbers low and classified, the shadow jet forces adversaries to prepare for the worst at all times, and that in itself is a weapon more powerful than any missile. What if there's something even more classified? Perhaps the most chilling possibility is that the shadow jet is only the tip of the iceberg. Military projects have a long history of revealing only a fraction of their true capabilities. The F-117 Nighthawk, the first true stealth aircraft, flew for over a decade in total secrecy before the world even knew it existed. The B-2 Spirit bomber was developed with technology that was years ahead of its time, and many of its capabilities are still classified to this day. So what if the shadow jet isn't the real project? What if the true next-generation fighter is still hidden? What if the real breakthrough technology is being tested on an aircraft that hasn't been revealed yet? Could the shadow jet be a distraction, making other nations waste resources trying to counter a fighter that isn't even the most advanced aircraft in operation? The idea that there is an even more secretive, more advanced warplane in development is not impossible. Given how rapidly technology is evolving, some military analysts believe that 6th-generation fighters are already outdated, and that work on 7th-generation weapon systems is well underway. If this is true, then the shadow jet may only be a preview of what's to come. The silent predator that will shape future wars. Regardless of why the shadow jet is being kept in low numbers, one thing is clear: its impact is already being felt. Nations around the world are rushing to modernize their air forces, but the truth is that they may never catch up. If this aircraft is truly as advanced as reports suggest, then no amount of upgrades to current fighter jets will change the outcome of future battles. The shadow jet was never designed to fight fair. It was designed to ensure air superiority without contest. And with only a handful of them in existence, rival nations are left asking a terrifying question. If one shadow jet is in the sky, how many more are out there that we can't see? If this is the fighter jet they are willing to reveal, what classified weapon is still hidden from the world? And when will it make its first move? This aircraft isn't just a fighter jet, it is a ghost in the sky, an unseen force that controls the battlefield without ever revealing itself. And if the military only needs a few of them, that means one thing: they are so powerful, so advanced, and so untouchable that no enemy force in the world can challenge them. If this is the future of aerial warfare, then the age of traditional dogfights and air battles is already over. The shadow jet has already won. For over a century, air power has been the defining factor in global conflicts. The ability to control the skies has determined the outcome of wars, shaped geopolitics, and given dominant nations an unchallenged edge. Every era of air combat has brought a new evolution: faster planes, deadlier weapons, and smarter defense systems. But now, with the shadow jet, we are not witnessing just another step forward. We are witnessing the end of traditional warfare as we know it. The arrival of this aircraft signals a new age of air dominance, one where stealth is absolute, intelligence is artificial, and human pilots are no longer the most important factor in aerial combat. Nations that have relied on fighter squadrons, missile defense systems, and large-scale air operations are now facing a completely different type of war machine. One that can see without being seen, strike without being stopped, and think without human limitations. This is no longer about who has the best pilots or The most powerful missiles? This is about who has the smartest technology and the most advanced intelligence systems. And right now, only one country has it. How the shadow jet is rewriting military strategy. For decades, the structure of air combat has been based on detecting the enemy before they detect you, outmaneuvering them in a fight, and striking before they have a chance to react. Aircraft were designed with radar-absorbing materials to reduce their visibility, equipped with advanced avionics to help pilots make decisions faster, and loaded with long-range missiles to eliminate threats before getting too close. But the shadow jet doesn't just improve on these concepts, it renders them obsolete. Stealth is no longer about being hard to see, it's about being completely undetectable. Combat is no longer about who reacts fastest. It's about an AI that already calculated the outcome before the battle even started. Survivability is no longer about dodging missiles. It's about an aircraft that neutralizes threats before they even become a problem. The shadow jet doesn't follow the old dogfighting rules, where pilots had to outmaneuver each other. In fact, it may never need to engage in traditional air combat at all. If an enemy aircraft takes off with the intent of intercepting it, there's a good chance it was already detected and targeted before it even left the runway. While adversaries scramble to figure out what's happening, the shadow jet is already in position, gathering intelligence and executing its mission without ever being seen. And if the enemy somehow detects it, what can they do? Fire a missile at an aircraft they can't track? Try to maneuver against an AI that predicts their every move? Attempt to escape from something that is faster, smarter, and completely invisible? The truth is, by the time the shadow jet is identified as a threat, it's too late. The death of traditional fighter squadrons. For decades, air forces have relied on large formations of fighter jets to establish control over the skies. Pilots train for years to develop the skills necessary to engage in combat, and military planners focus on producing enough aircraft to sustain combat operations over long periods. But with the shadow jet, this strategy is no longer necessary. A single shadow jet can carry out missions that would have once required an entire squadron. Unlike traditional fighters, it doesn't need support aircraft to jam enemy radar or assist in electronic warfare. It does it all on its own. It doesn't require constant refueling or resupply missions because its design allows it to operate for longer periods without the need to return to base. This means that air forces that once relied on numbers to win battles may soon find that numbers don't matter anymore. A fleet of 20 traditional fighter jets might not even come close to matching the power of a single shadow jet. And the worst part for enemy forces? They might never even know the shadow jet was there until their systems have already been neutralized. The fear of the unknown, how rival nations are responding. Right now, global military powers are watching the emergence of this new aircraft with a mixture of fear and urgency. For countries that have spent billions on stealth aircraft, the reality of the shadow jet's superior stealth capabilities is a nightmare. For nations developing next-generation radar and missile defense systems, the realization that they may be useless against an aircraft that doesn't leave a signature has thrown years of military planning into chaos. This is why intelligence agencies worldwide are desperately trying to learn more about the shadow jet's true capabilities. How does its AI system work? What are its weaknesses, if it even has any? How does it maintain plasma-based stealth at all speeds? How effective are its directed energy weapons in real combat situations? Is there an even more advanced version being tested in secret? The next war will be fought differently. For the first time in history, a military aircraft has been designed with capabilities that are not just evolutionary, but revolutionary. The shadow jet is not simply a better fighter jet. It is an entirely new class of war machine, and the impact of its existence will go far beyond the battlefield. It will force enemy nations to rethink their entire Air Force strategies. It will render old-generation fighter jets nearly useless. It will shift military investments from pilot training to AI-assisted combat. It will push global militaries into a new kind of arms race, one based on intelligence, autonomy, and absolute stealth. For decades, the world believed that aerial combat was about human skill and superior maneuvering. Now we are entering a new reality where the most dominant aircraft doesn't need to outmaneuver its enemy. It eliminates them before they can even react. What happens next? This is just the beginning. The introduction of the shadow jet signals a new era of military power, one where human pilots no longer determine the outcome of a battle, and where stealth, speed, and AI supremacy define the new rules of war. With such a game-changing aircraft now in existence, one question remains: what comes next? If the shadow jet is already so advanced that no existing aircraft can challenge it, what technologies are still classified? If this is the aircraft they are willing to reveal, what is still hidden from the public? What other military breakthroughs are waiting in the shadows, unseen and unheard, just like the shadow jet itself? Could this be just the first phase of an even bigger technological leap that is already underway? What's even more unsettling is that rival nations aren't just worried about how to counter the shadow jet. They're worried about what comes next. If today's cutting-edge technology is already capable of making traditional air combat obsolete, then what will the future bring? One thing is certain: air warfare will never be the same again. And for those who may find themselves on the wrong side of this invisible predator, the most terrifying part is this: by the time they realize it's there, it's already too late.